Few people know how close Sam Heughan came to becoming James Bond. To the world, Daniel Craig has long been the face of the legendary spy, the man in the tuxedo, the martini in hand, the icon of charm and danger. But years before Craig took on the role, a young Scottish actor walked into a casting room with a dream that felt within reach. That actor was Sam Heughan. At the time, he wasn't a global name. He wasn't yet Jamie Fraser, the hero of Outlander, or a red carpet regular admired for his grace and strength. He was simply a talented, determined young man from Balmaclellan, Scotland, hungry, hopeful, and ready to prove himself. I remember walking into the audition feeling like this could be it, Sam once recalled in an interview. You grow up watching those films. Bond is every actor's dream. He's sophisticated, strong, untouchable. To even be considered felt surreal. He didn't just want to play Bond, he wanted to be Bond. The process was intense. Weeks of screen tests, secret meetings, and late-night phone calls. Everything about it felt larger than life. He was given scenes to perform, and when he stepped into the suit for the first time, he said it was like looking into another version of himself, the one he'd always imagined he could be. For a brief moment, it seemed real. But Hollywood dreams are fragile. And sometimes, even when you give your best, fate has other plans. When the news finally came that Daniel Craig had been chosen as the next Bond, Sam's phone buzzed with messages of sympathy and disbelief. He stayed quiet. He congratulated the decision publicly, smiled for the cameras, and told himself it was all part of the journey. But privately, it cut deep. I remember hearing the news, he admitted years later. And I told myself, it's fine, there will be other chances. But deep down, it hurt. It really did. He paused, and then added the three words that broke every fan's heart. It still hurts. For Sam, losing Bond wasn't just losing a role. It was losing the role, the one that could have changed everything. The one that could have catapulted him from aspiring actor to global superstar overnight. It felt like watching a door close on a version of my life I thought was meant to happen, he said. Fans who heard his confession were stunned. Sam Heughan had always been seen as the embodiment of strength, grace, and confidence. Yet here he was, admitting to pain, to disappointment, to the quiet ache that comes when a dream slips away. And yet, there was something beautiful in that honesty. Because behind the fame and the red carpets, Sam is human. A man who knows what it feels like to fight for something and lose. To be so close that you can taste it, only to watch it fade. In the years that followed, he rarely spoke about the Bond audition again. He focused on his work, pouring his energy into projects that fulfilled him in different ways. But every time someone mentioned Bond, in interviews, fan events, or casual conversation, you could still see that flicker in his eyes. Not regret, exactly. Something quieter. Something that said, I remember what that dream felt like. And when fans recently brought up the topic again, especially after rumors of a Bond reboot began to circulate, Sam finally broke his silence. This time, he didn't hide the emotion. I gave it everything, he said softly. And maybe it just wasn't my time. But it still hurts. Those words resonated far beyond Hollywood. They struck a chord with anyone who has ever chased a dream and lost it. Because we've all been there, believing something was meant for us, only to realize it wasn't. And hearing Sam say it aloud made that universal pain feel a little less lonely. But what fans didn't know was that this heartbreak, this moment of loss, would become the turning point of his career. Because sometimes, what feels like an ending is really the beginning of something far greater. The world thought Sam lost his biggest chance when he didn't become Bond. They were wrong. Because from the ashes of that disappointment, another legend was about to rise, one that would change everything. When Sam Heughan said the words, "It still hurts," the world saw vulnerability. But behind those words was something far more powerful: resilience. Because what he lost that day didn't define him. What he built afterward did. After the Bond audition, Sam did what he always does, he kept going. There was no bitterness, no public frustration, no desperate chase for attention. Instead, he went back to the stage, to independent projects, to the quiet grind that most actors never talk about. But the sting lingered. It's strange, he later shared. You tell yourself to move on, but somewhere deep down, a small part of you wonders, what if? It was that, what if, that fueled him. That silent, unseen motivation to become more than what the world expected. And then, almost as if fate had been waiting for the right moment, a new opportunity appeared. In 2013, he got a call that would change everything. A casting director wanted him to audition for a historical drama based on a time travel romance novel called Outlander. At first, he didn't think much of it. I read the script and thought it was interesting, Sam recalled. But I didn't realize what it was going to become. When he stepped into the role of Jamie Fraser, something clicked, not just for him, but for millions around the world. The charisma, the quiet strength, the passion. All the qualities that might have made him a perfect Bond suddenly found their true purpose in Jamie. The irony wasn't lost on him. I didn't get to play a spy, he once joked, but I got to play a warrior, a man with honor, heart, and history. And yet, beneath the laughter, there was something profound. Because the role he didn't get led him to the one he was meant to have. Outlander didn't just give Sam fame. It gave him a voice, a family, a connection with fans that went far beyond screens and scripts. It gave him depth, and in time, it healed the part of him that losing Bond had broken. Still, when he spoke about that old wound years later, you could feel that it had shaped him. Pain has a way of teaching you who you are, he said. I think losing Bond taught me to value what I already had, and to never take any opportunity for granted. Fans around the world reacted with overwhelming love. Many admitted they were grateful he didn't become James Bond. If he had been Bond, one fan tweeted, we would have never had Jamie Fraser. And that would have been the real tragedy. He was never meant to be 007, another wrote. He was meant to be something more human, something that touches people. And in many ways, that's exactly what Sam has become, not a fictional spy saving the world with gadgets and guns, but a real man inspiring millions through honesty, hard work, and grace. When asked again in a later interview whether he'd still want to play Bond if the opportunity arose, Sam smiled. Of course, he said. It would be an honor. But I think I've already found the role that changed my life. Jamie gave me everything Bond might have, and more. Those words carried a quiet wisdom. Because it wasn't about revenge, or proving himself, or rewriting history. It was about peace, about realizing that life doesn't always give you what you want, it gives you what you need. And what Sam needed wasn't fame or perfection. It was purpose. Today, when fans look back at that painful confession, it still hurts. They don't hear sadness. They hear strength, a reminder that it's okay to admit pain, to grieve what could have been, and still move forward with grace. Because that's what true resilience looks like. Sam Heughan didn't become James Bond. But in losing that role, he discovered something greater. The kind of man who doesn't need a tuxedo, a gun, or a franchise to be iconic. He became a symbol of perseverance, authenticity, and quiet courage. And maybe that's why his words resonate so deeply with fans. Because all of us have our own version of a dream that slipped away. But like Sam, we learn that sometimes, the door that closes isn't rejection, it's redirection. As one fan beautifully wrote beneath his interview clip. He didn't lose Bond, he found himself. And perhaps that's the truest confession of all.